Have you ever ended up just overreacting to something and your unprocessed emotions just came out because you had a situation that you didn't prefer, maybe a conversation, maybe you were triggered, right? Triggered. Have you ever been there in that triggered state where you're reacting and not responding? Well, guess what? You're in luck, because in this video, I am going to go over triggers and how to help manage your triggers so that way you can have a more free and flowing, comfortable state of peace, and also step into the freedom of actually responding to people and getting a clear message out rather than all this fog, so you have clarity. And you later do not have to think, oh crap, why did I do that? Or you got in an argument with your partner and straight up it was like, I shouldn't have said those things. I should have stepped away and had a more clear response. It's to not throw gas on the flame. And I'm Ventzi. I'm your divine feminine empowerment and spiritual awakening coach, and I'm here to help you move from the fear and blocks that you have in your life to the freedom of living to your fullest expression of self, cultivate deep and meaningful relationships with others, romantic and non-romantic, while supporting you, falling completely in love with your life. And most importantly, just when you think you cannot take another step, I'm gonna go ahead and give you a little push so you can fall in love with yourself. All right, let's get it. Number one, we gotta ask ourselves, why is this happening? Why are we in a triggered state? Why are we gonna do something that can later not feel so good, and it's gonna cause a reaction that we don't like either, right? Our reaction causes a reaction. Also, maybe triggering other people in the process. And it's just like this endless loop of triggered cycle, right? Nobody wants to be in that. That sucks. It's so much easier when you're like free and flowing people and like you can just like, communicate issues. Like if you're at work and you're working with a team, like you run into a problem, you do your best to solve it, right? But it's like your personal relationships, it just gets a little wild, right? Or maybe even at work. Either way, this is going to help you in any situation. So what is a trigger? It is an unprocessed emotion. Okay? Triggers are unprocessed emotions. One more time. Triggers are unprocessed emotions that cause reactions. Triggers are unprocessed emotions that cause reactions. A trigger is a reaction to our emotional state, right? We're giving up control. We're letting the trigger master us instead of going through the trigger. Because guess what? The only way to fix a trigger is through it. The only way out is through. You let the trigger be the guide. Let the trigger guide you into finding out, why do I need to react this way? Why do I need to respond this way? Why do I feel like this and I have no self-control over myself? Right? We got to really look into, why are we allowing this? Maybe because if we don't, we fear that this person will never change, or that maybe from the past, if we don't raise our voice and yell and say bad words, we're not going to get the response, and they're never going to realize how we actually feel, because we're afraid to show up vulnerably and express our actual emotions. Right? Instead of saying, hey, I feel this way, I feel disrespected, uncomfortable when you speak this way towards me, or when you say this, could you please stop? Instead of responding and creating boundaries. I just made a video on boundary setting. Instead of responding in a way we prefer, right? Much rather. I mean, would you rather, which option would you prefer? That one, or F you, you never listen to me, blah, blah, blah. It's like, all right, well, they are listening to you yelling. However, have you actually expressed those emotions? And why are you not expressing them? Are you afraid of being seen, that you're not worthy enough for somebody to help recognize your emotions and sit there with you and see you and love you in that state? Why? Because being vulnerable creates an opening for the possibility of an emotional attack. And a lot of times we cover that up with our ego that tries to protect us, and it puts these blocks on our heart chakra and our heart space, so that we don't allow ourselves to be open. Because when we were young, we were cute and innocent, and I picked a flower and gave it to my dad, and in Bulgarian he told me mumice kukice, which means, you know, girly girl with a basket of flowers. I think that's what kukice means. But, you know, and like try to like, you know, do something to make fun of me. Just an example. This actually did happen. Like, I, you know, as a kid, as a boy, doing cute things that, you know, maybe watch mom do, and like pick a flower or something and give it to someone, or that she likes flowers, then you go in and do that to to your dad, who's in his toxic masculine, right? And then they make fun of you. So now you gotta never, you know, you can't be cute. Now all of a sudden being cute is wrong, right? So you start to suppress your real self and the things that you want to do, and this just leads on to the future, and you never get to live to your fullest expression of self and attract people who are going to love you for the real you. Because everybody else that you're attracting in your life that doesn't know the real you, you're literally lying to them. You're lying to them every single day. Like, you're showing up and being their friend, and if you're not showing up 100% as you and giving them the opportunity to love you as you are, you've denied them the true access. And when you do start shifting and you do want to start setting proper boundaries, guess frickin' what, buttercup? They're gonna be like, whoa, what the heck is this? You're changing all of a sudden. You've changed. I don't like change. And now all of a sudden you're losing these people, right? Instead of inviting them to realize, like, hey, I am growing, or some kind of fallout happens. Unless they do really love and support you and they want to be there for your journey, and you've invited them to join you on your journey of going towards your fullest expression of self. I know I've gone a little off the rails here. Flow state, baby. Let me know if this helps you. I hope this flow state off the rails offered you some support. However, yeah, you know, I like cute things. I like headbands. I like, you know, feminine attire. I like it. And I stepped into my fullest expression of self, honoring the male that I am while liking cute things. You know, you ever heard of like femboys? Yeah, we got fem daddy over here. You know, like there's muscle mommies at the gym, and you got fem daddy. Okay. Enough about me. Back to it. Right, let the trigger be the guide, because that trigger is unprocessed emotion that you've stored inside, and you're not letting it come out in a vulnerable way because of fear of the outcome, because you have this attachment of the outcome that it's possible you may get hurt by being this way, or you're going to be denied, the person is going to deny you what you're requesting or what you're sharing, or they're not going to shift with you. Well, the only way you're going to ever figure it out is by fucking around and finding out. Fuck around and figure it out. Give it a try and push yourself, and stay committed to it. Because otherwise, again, you're denying people the real you. And if you keep denying the real you, you're denying yourself the real you. And every day you're going to wake up disliking the life that you have because you're hiding. You're hiding who you are. And when you're on your deathbed thinking, none of this shit mattered anyway, right? You're going to be like, fuck. And I got to reincarnate here on Earth and try again. I mean, that's totally chill. You're going to probably do it anyway when you get bored being a divine source creator in higher densities. And be like, all right, time to, you know, have this self-pleasure experience of being a human so I can learn and expand and grow. And it also, you know, anyway, getting off the rails. Repeat after me. Your trigger is your figure. Your trigger is your figure. Your trigger is your figure, you know. Why are we saying this? Because guess what? Your trigger is the shape of you. It's your true emotional state and where you're at. And your reaction is showing the figure of who you are being in that present moment. If you react and don't respond, and you know what we do with figures if we're not comfortable, or we don't like our figures, or we, you know, turn 30 or 40 years old and realize, oh shit, we're out of figure, our body isn't in the shape we want it to be. You know, hire a personal trainer, Start looking up YouTube videos and start putting in that work, physical work, to change our figure, to change the shape, so that way we can start looking, feeling, and moving better in our lives. Right? So if you look at your figure and how you're reacting, there's inner work that needs to be done. So you have to literally, and I invite you to reprogram yourself and watch videos and content that's going to specifically give you instructions on how to be better, how to respond to people from a loving place, learn how to set boundaries, reinforce them in a loving way when somebody accidentally steps it over, because you don't know if they did it on accident or on purpose. Reinforce it, and then, maybe a third time's the charm reinforcement. And then after that, you got to really decide if they're not joining you and the growth of where you're going on your journey. Maybe it's time to let that person go, because they served their purpose, and that was you learning how to set a proper boundary and leaving. Because guess what? There's a lot of guesses here. I'm just going to give you the answer. Sometimes the best thing you can do for someone is to show them the consequences of their actions. Is you choosing what's best for you and physically leaving. As much as, it sucks, however, that's what happens. And I've been in places where, like, when I was 19 and 20, I didn't have very much control over my emotions, and I would be reacting, and I was in my toxic masculinity in a relationship, and the relationship was not going well. I mean, it was toxic, back and forth, breakups, coming back together, blah, blah, blah. I was just never doing that again, right? I am grateful for it because it taught me so much. My point is, though, what was my point? Where did I get lost here? So, my point is, rewind. Because when it finally came to end that relationship, and there was no going back, right? I mean, we both played a role in it, right? However, losing that person in my life, even as a friend, I mean, I guess not losing, I gained so much from it in terms of my own growth. It showed me a lesson that I can't be that way, that I can't be this back and forth person, that I want to be better. It showed me an opportunity for me to grow. And 10 years later, here I am, expressing my journey to help add value to yours and help you navigate some of these circumstances. Because guess freaking what? It doesn't matter what age you are. If you're experiencing these things and you haven't figured it out yet, it sucks, because I've been there. There's a struggle, there's a pain, it's this constant overthinking, overanalyzing. You can never actually feel free, and it always feels like everything sucks, and if everything keeps sucking, you're going to be depressed and you're never going to get out of it. That's why the only way out is through, and your trigger is your figure. Your trigger is your guide to what here am I suppressing that I can show and express to this person in a healthy, loving way. And again, do some research. Google, how can I express this? Go to ChatGPT. How can I express this to someone? Here's my situation, ChatGPT. How can I express this to someone? How can I set this boundary in a healthy way? And guess what? The ChatGPT is the best. All right, it's going to give you specific instructions. And the other thing is, too, your trigger is specific instructions for you to get better at the thing that you're suppressing. Trigger is a reaction. And when you no longer feel the triggered space from some, you can even take a thing from the past, something that's bothered you every single time you think about it. And if you can actually just look back and kind of giggle and be like, hey, I'm grateful for the lesson, because that's what it was for, right? And like, oh man, I'm glad I'm not that age anymore, and I figured it out. That's so silly. I can't be mad at myself for being a first grader and doing something silly that I would never do now, right? However, that means you grew. But if you can take that negative emotion, you're still triggered by it, or if this person did this to you and blah, 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 you haven't healed from it. Be really, really honest and vulnerable with yourself. Give yourself that sacred vulnerability to your truth for your soul that you're not over it yet. And there's specific instructions and guidelines for you to follow that you want to be better. And you have to add movement and momentum to it. It's just having this breakthrough, and you've made it this far in the video, I congratulate you. Thank you so much for being here. I know you want to do better. Again, you have to constantly keep reprogramming yourself and watching content that's going to help you get to where you want. Chugga chugga choo choo, because guess what happens when this train stops? So do you. And we're not meant to be stagnant. Even if you sit around for 2-3 years and you're stagnant, guess what happens to your body? Starts getting stiff, weak, you know, like we're meant to move. And if you are stuck in the same endless loop of you're being triggered, you're being affected by things that you haven't been healed from, it's time to really look within and audit yourself vulnerably. All right, you're gonna dig up some shadow work and find some things you may not like about yourself. Specific instructions on how to get better. Look it up. Do the work. It's not even work. It's like, I mean, yeah, it kind of is. But if you want to reach, and if you want to reach that level of unconditional love and harmony, it's a labor of love to get to that point. That point A to point B is always exciting. Fall in love with that gap in the process. And I guarantee you that once you start responding in a way which you prefer in triggered moments and scenarios and arguments, believe me, in that moment, you're going to be aware of it. You're going to realize, oh man, I would have reacted this way before. And you're going to feel so freaking empowered, like beyond empowered. This is where the empowerment kicks in. And you realize how much you've evolved, how much better you've become, and you didn't have to have your reality become easier. You became better. Because don't wish for things to be easier. Wish for you to be better. You don't have to wish for it. You can do that. You can run that train to evolving. Guarantee you. This changed my life when I started realizing I can respond versus react. And I started focusing on how to respond better, how to be in more control of myself. And again, you're not in control of a lot. You are in control of yourself and your emotions and what you choose to think, feel, and how you're going to act. And are you going to respond or are you going to react? And it is your sacred responsibility, your ability to respond in a way which you prefer for yourself and for others. Because again, when you reacted, there's going to be a reaction hangover. You're going to be, did I do that? Now you're sorry. The real sorry is you start moving that engine towards learning your ability to respond better to people that you value and love in your life, and you owe that sacred responsibility to yourself. All right? So let me know if this helped you. Let me know in the comments below if you experienced anything like this, if you can relate to it. I'd love to assist you because I'm always interested in what my audience is going through, and maybe I can make a video on it. And like and subscribe and hit that notification button or bell, so that way you're notified when more of my content does come out. Much love, Cosmic Soul. Have a wonderful, magnificent, transformative, alchemizing day. Love and light vibration out. Bye.